And Trump supporter and former George W. Bush political director Matt Schlapp. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being with us. Ambassador, let me start with you. What did the president know? When did he know it? What did the White House know? When did it know it? Why are those relevant questions here?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. The questions about the president matter because since the Russia scandal broke, it was during the campaign, my bipartisan colleague, the George W. Bush White House ethics czar, Professor Painter, and I said that Donald Trump has a disturbing mystery at the middle of his finances. He denies Russian financial connections, but his son, before Mr. Trump ran for president, said they see a lot of Russian money in their businesses, and Russia is very important to their assets. So we need answers to whether Mr. Trump has financial incentives for his bizarre embrace of one of the worst dictators,
what does that have to do?
Putin.
What does it have to do with this information and when and how Devin Nunes got it?
2 words: cover-up. This goes to this whole strange Keystone Cop affair of Mr. Nunes, who's a close Trump associate himself, who sat on the transition team, running to the White House, his obfuscations. Remember, there's questions now about whether he was honest. He said it was not a White House source, hiding it from the committee, parsing through this data in the White House. It has the smack of a cover-up. And the critical question is, why is Donald Trump, instead of saying, as Matt's boss would have said, let the chips fall, we'll cooperate, why is he furiously denying, hiding, covering things up, and stonewalling? Can it be because he has hidden financial ties that he does not want revealed?
Matt, your response?
Well, my response is the following. I don't know this for sure, Allison, but I'm going to try to answer your questions here. I think when the president initially came out with these tweets, with surveillance in quotes, I think he tweeted that. This is going to be shocking because somebody told him that the Trump team was being surveilled. I don't think that should be very shocking. And I think what we're seeing here is a process. I will give you, it is very uneven. But I think we're seeing a process whereby the American people and the voters are going to see the evidence, and they'll be able to make up their minds as to whether it was appropriate surveillance or inappropriate surveillance.
Okay.
All the rest of this, Allison, is absurd because what it gets to is one very basic question about Russia and our elections. Vladimir Putin has tried to affect our elections. All the FBI experts say it. Cycle after cycle after cycle. This is nothing new. It's repugnant, it's terrible, it's unlawful, but it's nothing new. The idea that any of these people involved in the Trump campaign had to help Vladimir Putin do something he does every cycle is on its face really
Matt,
not
hold
credible.
on. I just want to press you on one thing because the timeline is fishy. Okay, unless President Trump had a crystal ball or, to your point, he had actual information, how could he have foretold on March 15th where he said, I bet something will come out about wiretapping evidence in the next 2 weeks?
Because I think there's evidence to show that there was inappropriate surveillance of the Trump team.
Great.
Look,
Okay,
Allison,
hold on, Matt.
Let me just finish. General Flynn was unmasked, which was unlawful. We don't know who did that. We're going to find out who did that. Were other people unmasked to the Obama team?
I think leaking classified information is unlawful. Unmasking in and of itself isn't necessarily unlawful, Matt.
Well, let's not have it both ways. If you're
I was only
saying...
having it one way there. But again, we have to talk about what's legal and not legal. I just want to correct you on a few points, Matt. Hang on one second.
But if you're somebody who gets unmasked, do you realize how inappropriate it is?
Again, but it's not necessarily legal. It's not necessarily legal.
What you're saying is that
you said unmasking is illegal.
I want to press here. You're saying the reporter didn't commit a crime.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying leaking can be unlawful. Unmasking in and of itself is not, which is what you said, and I think it's important to get clarity on this.
Let me clarify what you're saying. If an FBI person unmasks somebody and gives that to a reporter, that unmasking is unlawful.
Okay, but you've now changed
exactly
haven't. What you said, Matt. And the other point I want to make here is you said that there's no question that Russia meddled in this election, which is something that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, barely admitted to, and then only after months and months and months of saying there's no evidence of it. So you went farther than the president did.
That is the key.
Than the president did.
Let me try to answer the question, which is I think that Russia tries to do everything it possibly can to destabilize our country. I think Russia is a threat to America on the globe. And I think the fact that we take the next step to assume that it was the Trump campaign that was coordinating with them to do it, they don't need anybody's help.
You know who you're announcing? You know who you're announcing? You're now with the FBI Director James Comey, who announced to the American people last week that the FBI is investigating allegations of collusion between Trump associates and the Russians. And he said he would not do that because he was asked a direct question by Congressman Mike Turner unless there were credible allegations of such a thing. Norm, I want to let you get into this conversation.
Yeah, there's much to agree with in what Matt has said. Certainly, we should look at the question. There's no proof that anything improper happened with these materials that Nunes snuck over to the White House in the dead of night to examine. We should look at it. But, Matt, the big issue here, and you said it, our country was attacked. I know you're a patriotic American. That's the focus here. We don't understand Donald Trump's own financial ties, because he won't release his taxes, to the attacker. We know that Mr. Flynn wants immunity. Under the federal statute, you've got to assert as self-incrimination in order to get that immunity. He has incriminating information. That has to be the main focus, Matt. The attack on our democracy, Mr. Trump's role. What did he know? When did he know it? And if Flynn gets his immunity, I agree with Donald Trump's tweet. We should get a proffer from Flynn. If he seems like he's telling the truth, he has information that's important, get it out there, because this is a crisis. Our country was attacked.
Go ahead.
Ambassador, I think you and I can agree on something. I want to know exactly what Russia tried to do in this election, and I don't think we hold back on knowing what that information is. Let's let the American people know, number one. Number two, surveillance is a very, very important thing that happens, that the government does, and it's very powerful. If you allow a president or his administration to go beyond the confines of the law, and if we find out information that happened, we ought to also treat that seriously, because guess what? The most recent president can then do the same thing, which is also a problem.
But you don't know if it's that, which is what Donald Trump has suggested.
You don't either.
But the other,
you agree with me
that it could also, hold on, Norm, that it could also be incidental collection.
No. Let's be clear here. Even if it's what we call incidental, what we know what the charge is that the incidental, you know what it means now, Allison? It means almost every conversation that can happen. And that is the problem, which is, and if that is given to the president's team, and if he is allowed to say who is on that conversation, there are all kinds of ethical problems with that, and the ambassador agrees with me.
Okay.
If you will agree with me that we should get Donald Trump's Russia-related taxes, Matt, I will agree with you on that. We need to know his financial connections.
Okay.
We'll let you guys agree. We'll let you guys agree on another time together.
They just did. Point of agreement, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
America's top diplomat condemning Russia, while President Trump is calling on investigation